The Trump administration unleashing the toughest sanctions ever on Iran today, targeting its oil, shipping, and banking industries. But Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is vowing to defy the White House, saying, quote, unfair sanctions are against the law, UN resolutions, and international accords. Therefore, we will proudly break the sanctions. Joining me now is Ambassador Danon, Israeli ambassador to the UN. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. How do you think this shakes out? I mean, how much of a burden are the sanctions to Iran? How much can they be enforced? And how much resides on the shoulders of SWIFT and the money clearing system that Iran likes to use?
Good afternoon, Melissa. We see that the Iranians are panicking. They are tweeting, responding to the sanctions. We welcome those sanctions. This is the right approach to deal with this hostile regime. And we have to ask ourselves what the Europeans will do now, whether they will join the leadership of President Trump and the US, or they will continue to find bypasses in order to buy oil from Iran. I think they will eventually have to join the US because the companies, they know better than the government. So we see European companies cutting off the relations with the Iranian market, and it's influencing the economy of Iran. I think the sanctions will be very effective, and they will force the Iranians to make a choice, either to destroy their own economy or to change the nuclear agreement.
So what kind of impact do we think it's going to have or is having on people inside Iran? Because we don't have a lot of great intelligence about that. I mean, we saw pictures of a Death to America rally, a lot of pictures coming out. Israel has better intelligence, I think, into what's going on inside Iran than we do, probably. What's your take on what's really going on?
First, we are saying it out loud. We have nothing against the Iranian people. We have a common history, the Jewish people and the Iranian people. This is only against the regime, this hostile regime that gives hundreds of millions of dollars to terrorist organizations throughout the world. Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, you name it. Only recently we found out, the Israeli intelligence services, about terror activities in Denmark and in France funded by Iran. I think the Iranians eventually will understand that the regime is using the infrastructure and the funds to support terrorism instead of supporting the people of Iran.
Well, but that's not what President Obama said, you know, when the money was, quote unquote, given back to Iran. You know, he made the point that all we were doing by withholding the money was hurting the people inside the country, and that if they had more economic opportunity, they would see what was going on in the rest of the world, and that was the best way in order to undermine the regime. Why didn't that happen?
President Obama applied sanctions, very good sanctions against the Iranians, and they were very effective. But the problem was that instead of waiting and continuing to apply more pressure, he ran and signed this agreement. It was a bad agreement. When you look at the agreement today, the Iranians can spread money to terrorist organizations. You cannot inspect the sites, and there is no sunset clause issue. So it means that in a few years they are able to go back and produce nuclear capabilities. So I think the sanctions of President Obama were good, but the timing of stopping them was a mistake.
Ambassador, you've made the point many times that for the, for those in charge of Iran, it isn't about money. It's about their ideology. And as much as you try and squeeze them, what is really the desired end result? Is it regime change? I mean, we talk about trying to make them behave better, but is that realistic?
Well, at the Middle East, it's really hard to predict. No one will know when, how, what will be the cause for a regime change, and I don't think you can anticipate that. But yes, you can force them to make a choice, and I think when you will put more sanctions, look at the airlines, for example. You know, major airlines decided to stop flying to Tehran, and you see companies like Total, Volvo, major companies pulling out. It will influence the economy, and the people of Iran eventually will go out to the street and will force the government to change their course.